Imagine walking into a store, just another ordinary day, and suddenly being told to leave. No explanation, no reason. That's exactly what happened to a young black girl when a white woman working at the counter demanded she leave. The tension in the air was thick as the girl tried to understand what was happening. Was it a mistake? Was there something wrong with her? The woman's harsh tone and refusal to back down left her speechless. But little did the woman know, she had just crossed paths with someone far more powerful than she could ever imagine. As the girl stood there, confused and frustrated, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her dad. "On my way, stay where you are." What the woman didn't know was that the girl's father wasn't just anyone. He was the CEO of a major company, a man with enough influence to shake things up. The white woman, still convinced she had the upper hand, had no idea who she was about to face. The store's atmosphere shifted in an instant. As the door swung open, the girl's dad walked in, his presence commanding attention. The tension in the room grew as everyone stared, waiting to see what would happen next. Would the CEO get involved? Would this confrontation end in a way that no one expected? Stay tuned to find out what happens when power, privilege, and a simple misunderstanding collide. The truth is about to come out, and it's going to leave everyone shocked. The girl, Maya, stood frozen at the counter, her heart racing. She couldn't wrap her mind around what was happening. She was a regular at this store. Her dad had brought her here countless times before, always a safe and welcoming place. But today, something felt off. The woman behind the counter, a manager by the name of Karen, had looked at Maya with a cold, judgmental stare when she'd walked in. It wasn't the first time Maya had felt out of place because of her skin color, but this was different. The sharp tone, the dismissive attitude, this time it felt personal. Maya tried to reason with Karen, explaining that she was just here to pick up a few things. But Karen wasn't having it. "You need to leave now," she said firmly, barely meeting her eyes. It wasn't just the words that stung, but the way they were said, like Maya was a threat, like she didn't belong. Maya could feel a heat rising in her chest, but she stayed calm. After all, she had always been taught not to escalate things. Yet here she was, fighting for her right to simply exist in a space she'd always felt comfortable in. And then, as if the universe had timed it perfectly, her phone buzzed. It was a text from her dad, a man she knew was always there when she needed him. "On my way, stay where you are." Maya didn't have to ask why he was coming. She knew he'd want to know what was going on. What she didn't know was how far this would escalate, or how Karen would react when she realized who her father was. Karen continued to watch Maya, her expression hardening, but she clearly had no idea what was coming. The room seemed to hold its breath. Would Maya's dad be able to fix this? Or would the tension in the store only rise further? As Maya waited, she could feel the eyes of the other customers on her, some glancing nervously, others outright staring. It was uncomfortable, but she refused to let it show. She could tell Karen was enjoying the moment, her smirk barely hidden. Maya's thoughts raced. Why was Karen doing this? What had she assumed about her, and why had she decided to make a scene? The deeper Maya thought about it, the more it seemed like this wasn't just a random act, it felt planned. Was this something Karen had done before? Maya could almost feel the weight of her own anger starting to build, but she kept it in check. The store was quieter now, the tension thick in the air. Maya noticed a couple of other workers huddled near the back, trying not to get involved. She knew they could see what was going on, but they were staying out of it. Maya couldn't help but wonder if they were silently supporting Karen, too afraid to speak up, or if they were just hoping the situation would resolve itself. In a way, it was clear that the room was divided, and Maya was alone in the middle of it all. Outside, the sound of a car pulling into the parking lot interrupted her thoughts. Maya glanced at her phone. Her dad's message had come through again. "I'm almost there." She was grateful for his arrival, but a knot tightened in her stomach. What would happen when he walked in? Would Karen back down, or would she dig in her heels, not realizing who she was up against? The door swung open, and the bell above the entrance jingled. Maya's heart skipped a beat as her dad walked into the store, his presence undeniable. He was tall, confident, and his reputation preceded him. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this moment could change everything. Would the truth come out, or would this encounter just deepen the divide? Maya's breath caught in her throat as her dad stepped further into the store. She could see Karen's eyes flicker with momentary confusion. She probably didn't recognize him right away. Not many people outside of his business world would. But Maya could tell that the shift in the air was palpable. The other customers grew quiet, sensing the change in energy. It wasn't just the fact that Maya's dad was tall and well-dressed. There was an undeniable power in his presence, an aura of authority that couldn't be ignored. Maya's heart pounded as she watched Karen glance from her father to Maya, her expression tightening. The smugness in her demeanor faltered for just a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Is there a problem here?" Maya's dad asked, his voice calm but firm. He was trying to keep the situation from escalating, but Maya could hear the underlying warning in his tone. Karen hesitated before replying, her voice a little too sharp. "This girl is causing a disturbance," she said, nodding toward Maya. "I asked her to leave, and she refuses." Maya could feel the weight of the lie hanging in the air. This wasn't about Maya causing a disturbance. It was about something much deeper, something that Karen wasn't willing to admit. But Maya's dad wasn't fooled. He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "Is that so?" he asked, his voice low. Karen didn't back down. Instead, she crossed her arms over her chest, a defiant look crossing her face. "Yes, it is," she said, almost daring him to challenge her. The room was electric with tension now, the silence between them hanging like a thread ready to snap. Maya could see that her dad was holding back, his mind racing through his options. She could feel the weight of everything building to this moment. One way or another, this was about to explode. Would Karen fold, or would the truth come out in a way no one expected? Just as the tension in the room reached its peak, a new voice cut through the silence. "Is there a problem here?" The words were calm but carried an unmistakable edge. Everyone turned to see another man entering the store, one Maya recognized instantly. It was the district manager, someone she had seen at her dad's corporate events, but his presence only added another layer of confusion to the situation. Maya's dad paused, his eyes narrowing as he processed the sudden appearance. "What are you doing here?" he asked, the calmness in his voice now tinged with curiosity. The district manager, a middle-aged man with an unsettling smile, looked at Karen and then back at Maya's father. "I was just checking in on things," he replied, his tone a little too smooth. "Karen mentioned there was an issue, so I thought I'd step in." Maya's stomach dropped. It wasn't just Karen who had created the problem. It was now clear that someone else was involved, someone who had the power to escalate things further. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she realized this wasn't just about her. It was a setup, but for what purpose? Had Karen been acting alone, or was there more to the story? The district manager's arrival felt too convenient, too planned. Maya's dad stood still, studying the situation. He could sense the underlying tension, the way everyone was carefully avoiding eye contact. Something wasn't right. He didn't trust the district manager's sudden involvement, especially with Karen's behavior. Maya knew her father well enough to understand that he was now playing a dangerous game. He wasn't just trying to protect her anymore. He was trying to uncover the hidden motives that no one else seemed to notice. The room felt like it was about to implode. Would the district manager and Karen finally expose their plan? Or was there another, even bigger twist waiting to unfold? Maya's dad took a slow step forward, his eyes fixed on the district manager. "You're involved in this too, aren't you?" he asked, his voice now cold. The district manager's confident smile faltered, just for a split second, but it was enough. He glanced at Karen, who shifted uncomfortably under the weight of Maya's dad's stare. The room seemed to hold its breath as Maya's father continued. "This isn't just about a misunderstanding anymore, is it? There's something more you're trying to cover up." The question is, what exactly? The district manager shifted on his feet, and for the first time Maya saw a crack in his composure. Karen, sensing she was losing control of the situation, quickly spoke up. This isn't about anything other than her refusing to leave. She was causing a disturbance. Maya's dad raised a hand, silencing Karen. I know my daughter, he said firmly. And I know you, Greg, he added, turning back to the district manager. I've seen your reports. You've been manipulating store sales figures, trying to boost your bonus at the cost of everyone else. The district manager's face went pale, and for a moment, it felt like the entire room had shifted. The truth was out. But just as Maya thought the tension would break, there was a loud thud as the back door of the store opened. Another figure entered, a woman dressed in a crisp business suit, her heels clicking on the floor. She stepped forward with the same calm confidence Maya's dad had. I believe this is my cue to step in, she said, locking eyes with the district manager. Maya's jaw dropped. The woman wasn't just a bystander, she was the CEO of the entire retail chain. I've been watching this from the surveillance footage, she said, her tone cutting through the air. And I think we all know who's getting fired today. The district manager's face went ashen, and Karen stumbled back in shock. Maya's dad exchanged a brief, knowing glance with the CEO. The room had flipped. The power dynamics had completely shifted. What had started as a simple misunderstanding was now a corporate scandal waiting to explode. The room fell into an eerie silence as the CEO stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. I've been aware of the issues at this store for some time, she said, her voice sharp and precise. Greg, Karen, your actions have been noted. I've already had the evidence, and this little stunt of yours just made it all the clearer. The district manager's face twisted in disbelief as his plans crumbled before him, and Karen stood frozen, unable to respond. Maya's dad turned to her, a gentle smile tugging at his lips. You all right? He asked quietly, his voice softening for a moment. Maya nodded, feeling the weight of the past few minutes lift off her shoulders. She was still shaken, but seeing her dad stand up to the injustice had given her a new sense of strength. It wasn't just about this moment anymore. It was about standing up for what was right, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it might get. The CEO didn't waste any time. She gestured to the store manager and another employee who had witnessed the exchange. Please escort Greg and Karen to HR, she said, her tone final. I think it's time for some serious conversations about their future here. As they left, the tension in the room began to dissipate. The other customers, who had been watching quietly, finally seemed to relax, their murmurs of approval filling the air. Maya's dad put a hand on her shoulder. Let's go home, kiddo, he said, his voice warm and reassuring. As they left the store together, Maya felt a sense of pride bubbling up inside her. Today wasn't just about what had happened to her. It was about witnessing the power of standing up, speaking out, and ensuring justice was served. As they walked into the parking lot, Maya glanced up at her dad. Thanks, Dad, she said softly. He smiled down at her, his eyes twinkling. You didn't need me to fight for you, Maya. You already did it yourself. And with that, they drove away, knowing this was a day neither of them would ever forget.